my beautiful divine souls. So this is going to be another video to help you find out, is this my twin flame or is this a karmic connection, karmic catalyst, false flame, false twin, however you want to call it. So we're going to talk about something very specific because I find this is many times what causes the confusion. So we're going to break this down today. I've done a lot of videos about this topic because I have still many ladies coming to me thinking that they are in a twin flame connection and they're actually connected to a karmic. And in those videos, many times I have mentioned to you that you are not connected to your twin flame. It is not an activated twin flame connection if the feminine, so whoever resonates with the feminine energy, which for most part is the woman, has not went through her spiritual awakening, right? I've said this many times. If you watch me, you must have heard that. But the confusion here is that many women, when they hear spiritual awakening, they don't really understand what it means, or they're not, because they're in a vulnerable place, they're not able to use their discernment when they hear that. So today we're going to talk about the huge difference between spiritual awakening and what is spiritual awareness, what is the moment of switch from physical karma to spiritual karma, what is a pivotal moment of that aha moment that we often call awakening, right? But it's not actually a spiritual awakening. So let's break this down. When I say that in a true twin flame connection, activated twins, right? Two twin flames activated to the journey, the woman goes through spiritual awakening. It means that you go through kundalini awakening, okay? You go through a process. Your twin triggers that process within you. You go through a process that we call kundalini awakening, which means that your kundalini energy, your snake energy, that resides at the base of your spine, wrap around your sacral chakra, opens its eyes. We all have that energy. Just a side note, I talk about this all the time as well to remove confusion. We all have this energy. You cannot force this energy to awaken if your soul haven't planned to awaken this energy before incarnating in this body, in this specific lifetime. And once this energy awakens, okay, which is a process that can last anywhere from days, weeks, to some even years, because it's not just the snake opening its eyes. Once the energy awakens, I've done separate videos about this, so I don't want to ramble about this too much here, but once the energy awakens, it sort of rises slowly. The awakening moment, the opening eyes moment, it's a very painful moment for the spirit, for the body. You cannot miss that, okay? And once that happens, it starts to rise gradually through all your energy points, through all your chakras, right? Opening you as a channel to divine, opening you as a channel to Father Universe. So in process of spiritual awakening, that, by the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be triggered by your twin flame. Some people who completely aren't on a twin flame journey, there's always a moment that triggers in their life that awakening, right? And in that process, you become an open channel. So your clairs get activated, the veil of physical world drops, you start to see beyond the veil. You start to see, hear, feel, think things from beyond this physical world. You become a channel for spirit, for divine knowledge. And this is where your awakening journey starts. Your spiritual awakening journey starts. You embark on a journey of deep healing. You start doing shadow work. You start going through ascensions where you receive downloads of information from spirit, messages from spirit. You're tapping into divine knowledge. You're tapping into quantum field. And side note, this is why I always say to you guys, whenever you go to someone who's a psychic, who's a reader, who's a healer, who's a shaman, they need to be awakened. To be a true spiritual healer, you need to be awakened. And it's something that I've covered in different topics, in different videos as well, right? So this is what we mean going through spiritual awakening, okay? And it's specifically in the context of twin flame connection, your divine masculine awakens your kundalini 99% of cases through sexuality. Your kundalini starts to rise, you're starting seeing things, hearing things, you open as a channel and you embark on a journey. This is why the separation is needed in this connection, because it's a very painful process for the feminine, very lengthy process. You have to truly heal to your very core, release the ego, stand in your glory, stand in your power, stand in your light, allow your soul to guide you in life, right? Now, when many women confuse this, and yesterday I've done a video about comparison in a case study in a specific activation to a twin flame and to a karmic catalyst. So many ladies who go through this, right? You can watch that video on my TikTok. And many ladies who go through this, they hear that you go for spiritual awakening and they think this is it, because what can happen and what you can confuse with the spiritual awakening, and karmic catalyst can do that for you. Karmic catalyst can cause that breakthrough moment in your life, that moment when you start to think that I can change my life, because they do awaken something within you. Oftentimes your dormant sexuality, oftentimes they are this intense, passionate, strong connection that feels like destined, it is destined, feels like a true bond, that you decide to change your life. It's this turning point in your life. For many ladies, they start to do the work, they start to change, they start to transform, they start to walk the path of spirituality. So oftentimes ladies who go through their karmic catalyst, they think like, oh my God, maybe it's time to change my life. Maybe it's time to make my life better. So to go to therapy, they start going to shadow workers like myself. They start to do shadow work. They start to reflect on their lives, on themselves. So it feels like they have awakened you, right? Because suddenly you become spiritual. Suddenly you start to understand concepts of karma, past lifetimes, destiny, and so on and so forth. But this is spiritual awareness, right? And I know that in today's life, to make it easier, we call it spiritual awakening as well, because more and more people are awakening, which is beautiful, right? And this is actually the mission of those of us who are truly awakened, so who went through that kundalini awakening, who are channels to the divine. It's our mission to make everyone spiritually aware, to make this normality, because this is the reality, right? But oftentimes it's being confused. So I wanted to address this today, really, because I know it's confusing and my heart bleeds for you. It's so difficult. It's very difficult. I myself, and I want to add one more thing. I myself, when I started this journey, I didn't know anything about, I knew things about spirituality because I've become spiritually aware previous cycles of my life. So I was already someone who was, I was speaking to my guides, I was, doing meditations, I knew about past lifetimes, I knew about karma, I was educating myself on these topics, but I didn't go through my kundalini awakening, right? And when I was activated to the journey, I met my twin, I went through my kundalini awakening, right? That was the moment that I started, obviously, and this is why I always say to you guys, don't talk about this with anyone who is not really either awakened or strongly spiritually aware, because they're only going to confuse you, right? So I was scared. And again, I always say this to you as well, that usually feminists go two ways. One are very excited and oh my God, I met the other half of my soul. And others, they're very scared. They're terrified with what's going on, because it comes with a lot of pain. And to me, it came immediately with a lot of pain, because our bubble phase was very short. It was literally hours, and then we went into in and out, right? So the pain started very early on the journey. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, whom to talk to. So I started talking about this with my friends and, sharing my experiences. And you would not believe, I promise you, all my friends that I shared this with, all my friends, they started saying, "Oh my God, I went through this as well. I went through this as well," with exception of one friend who didn't go through this as well, but said that, "Oh my God, I had a friend who went through this as well." So suddenly it seems like all women went through this, and then I started finding out that how is this possible, right? The twin flames, it's such a rare thing. I'm even surprised how sexy of a topic it is, because it's such a rare thing. It's not even 0.25% of population, much less than that, right? There's so few of us. It's a very specific journey of awakening, very specific mission that very small fraction of star seeds embark on, to come here with a mission to help humanity to awaken, to help humanity to rise their consciousness, to rise their awareness, to remember, right? To reprogram this very brutal sandbox game, because throughout the generations it become very unpleasant to be here in this world. And with social conditioning, religious conditioning, cultural conditioning, we keep building more and more karma, and we're staying in this loop instead of actually learning and progressing. So it's our mission, jointly with other star seeds, to confirmation, to change that, right? So when I started sharing this, because I had no idea when I awakened about these topics, I started hearing from everyone, all of my friends, "I've been through it, I've been through it, I've been through it, I've been through it," right? And this is why, years after, it's sort of become my passion to help you to understand that you are or you aren't on this journey. Because when you think that you are in a twin flame connection and you actually aren't, you're going to miss the point, because your karmic catalyst is your lesson, and you have to learn that lesson. If you think you're in a twin flame connection, you're gonna be doing crazy stuff that are completely unnecessary. So there's so many videos, again, that I've done. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube. But in reality, the biggest thing that you need to ask yourself, have this person awakened me spiritually, but truly awakened me? Truly awakened me. Because what all my friends encountered, and all these ladies that come to me on sessions encounter, it's a karmic catalyst. And again, I spoke about this in yesterday's video, but it can be confusing, because this person oftentimes comes when you are in a pivotal moment of your life, when you are in a moment of change, when you are in a moment of switching from your physical karma to your spiritual karma. I also have a separate video about this if you're interested to understand that concept. But we all go through this switch. Some of us, it's very unknowingly, we don't even realize, right? And to some of us, it's an actual spiritual awakening, right? But to many women, it's this spiritual realization. It's this belief that I've been stuck in a loop, that I have to break, that I have to change, that I have to grow. And this is the objective of a very important connection that a karmic catalyst is, right? And rarely these karmic connections are meant to stay for long. But if you're not learning your lesson, they're going to stick around. Confirmation. If you think that this is your twin flame and you're skipping the lessons, you're not learning the lessons, they're going to stick around. And it's a very, not, everything happens for a reason, but you're going to keep yourself stuck. And many ladies, because as I started to grow into my awareness, I started to fully awaken as that channel. My gift started to activate, as I activated as a medium, as a psychic medium. And I started doing my work. I was, slowly trying to, in the beginning, because that's when you still haven't healed that healer wound, right? That I also talk about a lot. I started to returning to these friends, to these ladies, and saying, I don't think that was it. You know, I know more and more. I receive these downloads. I hear this information, and I don't think what you went through is what I'm going through, because I wanted to help them. And this also was a lesson for me that it is on some level spiritual arrogance that we all go through in the beginning of this journey, right? Because we, through awakening, through this awareness, our life becomes so much better. So we want to help others. We want to spread the knowledge, and this is where, you know, creating platforms and creating communities comes in, because you can never force this on anyone. And today I've learned, so today if someone in a random conversation says to me, oh my god, I've met my twin, I zip it. I would say nothing, because it is not on me. Unless you come to me on a session, unless you come to me saying, Ivana, please help me, I want to know. Sit down with me. I want to know, which happens. Those are the ladies that I've mentioned. It means also that you're ready to know. But if someone doesn't come to me, right? So maybe there's a reason I'm sharing this with you. Maybe some of you, you know, you still feel the need to correct people. If someone doesn't come to me, even though I know they're not on a twin flame connection, because side note, true divine feminines who are meant to work with twins, right? So again, I've explained this to you many times, that not all awakened divine feminines on an active twin flame connection are meant to work with twin flames, guide other twin flames. But those of us who are, we just know. We just know immediately. Someone mentions that, you know who's a true divine pairing. It's like, you know, right? Some of us see that in meditation. Some of us feel that. It's the knowing, it's the feeling, depending on which clairs in you are the strongest. But we know. But unless someone comes to me in a session saying, I really want to know, help me out. If this is a karmic, let's learn the lessons. If this is a twin, let's start to manage this properly. I would never say anything, because sometimes some women are meant to be stuck in those karmic connections for a while, thinking that this is either twin flame or a soulmate or something that they're going to spend the rest of their life with. Because again, I mentioned this to you guys many times, if you knew this was a karmic, you wouldn't get into that relationship. And many women also ask why, but why it feels so intense? How come it feels like a bond, like we're telepathically connected? I think of something, he thinks of something, because it has to be strong. The stronger your resistance, and I mentioned that in yesterday's video, the stronger your resistance to leave certain pattern, to leave the physical karma and move to spiritual karma, the stronger the bond with your karmic catalyst has to be to get you out of there. So some women, they meant to think that this is the real deal, that this is it, that they're going through, you know, this change and this shift and this awakening. So sometimes saying this to them prematurely, first of all, they wouldn't believe you, right? And secondly, it wouldn't really help, because it serves a purpose. Everything happens for a reason. We cannot force awakening onto someone. We cannot force realizations onto someone. And true healer always understands that. True healer understands that only when someone comes to you asking for help, this is when you can actually start the process of healing. You cannot force this on anyone, nor should you. And if you feel the need, it means that you yourself have a healer wound that you have to address. All right, my beautiful angels, I hope that was clear. So remember, spiritual awakening doesn't mean that you just start understanding certain things. True spiritual awakening starts with kundalini awakening and opens you as a channel to divine. You become a medium. Okay, on some level you become a medium. Then you're gonna, you know, on your path you can choose to work as depending on what your path is, you're gonna connect to your path. You can work as a shaman, as a psychic medium, as a shadow worker, reader like myself, as a coach, but not necessarily. Some women work as artists, work with people, work as teachers, work with children. So variety of things, whatever your passion is, whatever your mission is, whatever your path is, whatever your gifts that you came here to give to others are, but it is a life of service. So it's very different from spiritual awareness. So really ask yourself that, and it will really clear out all the doubts that you have.